Good afternoon. My name is Damien, the tall, friendly atheist dad, and host of the Tall, Friendly Atheist Dad podcast, wherever you are, whatever time of day it is, whatever part of the world you happen to be in. I hope you're well, and if not, I hope the next half hour at least gives you a little bit of comfort and relief from whatever's bothering you. This may well end up being funny instead of if you know what I mean. But anyway, this is part 7 of An Atheist Reads. You can lead an atheist to evidence, but you can't make him think, by the notorious Ray Comfort. Hit the music.
So far from lies and hypocrisy, returns to energy, and silence becomes breathe. Don't ask me the reason why. Just say I only dream in black and white. Future's nothingness, but I can choose another end. Opening my eyes, and you beginning in my life. Without emptiness to feel, I am sure of myself. No mercy unto the end.
Hello, yes, good afternoon. Again, I am Damien, the Tall, Friendly Atheist Dad, host of the Tall, Friendly Atheist Dad podcast. And yeah, this is part 7 of me reading a Ray Comfort book. Yay! And on the screen is Sydney Trains Cab Videos, Richmond to Central Real Time. Yes, so hey, look, I'm going to leave a like on that video because there you go. Thank you for the video. And yeah, so I hope you. If you don't want to just listen to my lovely voice, then you can at least listen to or watch a train ride. Awesome stuff. But anyway, this book has. I'm only a handful of pages in, and this is already part 7. This is how I think how bad Ray Comfort's apologetics are. Just that they're so bad that they warrant detailed responses. And it's a little bit like Frank Turek, I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. The apologetics are just so bad, the arguments are just so bad that you can't help but, oh hello, the train is moving. This is awesome. Let me just get the sound up. Is there sound on this video? Oh, there is sound. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. I'm just gonna.
Next stop, East.
Cool. All right. Let me just replying to my friend Jax. Hey, Jax. I hope you don't get COVID. If you do listen to this, I hope you don't get COVID. Anyway, where was I? So you can watch the video as listen. Yeah, so I was saying Frank Turek. Frank Turek and Ray Comfort are 2 of the worst apologists going today. That's all I can say. It's just they're actually kind of driving me away from Christianity rather than bringing me to. So anyway, so I'm in the chapter. This is still chapter 1. The chapter is titled Creation Must Have a Creator. And yeah, so we're at the part of the chapter where Ray Comfort is Ray Comfort gets a question on his blog, and he puts the question in the book, and then he responds to the question. And so yeah, so anyway, with a couple of hands, we'll go to the latest question that has been asked of him. So in 3, 2, 1. The question is, let's take a look at your list of evidence. Creation proves there's a creator. It most certainly does not. Even calling it creation shows your considerable bias. This is pure assertion. There are far better theories out there than God did it that are actually consistent with how the universe is. This does not mean that God does not exist, but it far from means God must exist. To which Ray Comfort replies, "It's not easy to be an atheist. He has to deny both common reason and logic. But it seems worth it to some, because they think you then become a moral free agent. However, you can look at the miracle of creation and deny the genius of the creator, but he still exists. You can call him an imaginary friend, but he still exists and sees everything you do and even what you think. You can call any reference to the Bible circular reasoning, but that word will judge you on Judgment Day, whether you believe it or not." Now, in the book, so it's written from page book, he's got a box, like an aside box, and it's titled The Atheist Headquarters. A group known as Atheists has produced a manifesto explaining why they believe that the sun doesn't exist. An entire desert point 1. An entire desert tribe of men, women and children was once killed by the sun. Therefore the sun doesn't exist. 2. Intelligent scientists have searched the night sky for the sun and found no evidence for its existence. They also entered a pitch black room and studied a book about the sun. Again, they found no empirical evidence. 4. Beliefs were confirmed by interviewing members of the Braille Institute. 5. The millions who testified that they have seen a brilliant ball of fire in the sky are unscientific, dim-witted liars. The Atheists continue to hold their meetings in a dark room and tell each other that it is intelligent to believe that the sun doesn't exist. Okay, I'm going to thank you very much, Ray Comfort, because I'm now going to respond to that. And I'm going to play some Victim of Illusion while I do so, because I love Victim of Illusion. victimofillusion.bandcamp.com. Buy their latest album, Invisible Light, for a very, very reasonable price, and support independent music artists. I'm going to play this song, Dewdrop. Hold on. You're supposed to play through my my Bluetooth. Where is the Bluetooth? Alright, give me a sec. Give me a sec. Technical difficulties. Because I thought I had. Beautiful, there we go. That is. There we go, that's. It picked up. Okay, so this is, I suppose, condescending anti-atheism. Yeah, it is, yeah, completely, yeah, I can't help but think that Ray Comfort is taking the most uncharitable approach to atheism, and yeah, using that as representative of all atheists. And I have to say that Christians do the same as well. Atheists do the same towards Christians as well. Atheists take a parody of Christians and give it a very uncharitable present a very uncharitable interpretation of their beliefs, which I suppose what we call straw manning. And yeah, And look, sometimes a straw man is an interesting way of presenting a viewpoint, though as an argument, it doesn't make sense. I think if we're going to present arguments, then we should present what we call steel man, which is the strongest possible version, or the strongest, most reasonable, strongest version of an argument, and present that. So anyway. Let's go to the question, and the question starts of, let's take your list of evidence. Creation proves there's a creator. It most certainly does not. I wouldn't call what we have creation.
Hello,
Yes, that's it's my phone going off. So anyway, I wouldn't call what we have creation, because creation is very much a philosophical overlay rather than a presentable hypothesis. And I've been in a few Twitter debates recently about, the idea of intelligent design and creation and stuff like that. And you would only, yes, I agree that things are sufficiently complex. I agree that we don't know exactly how things came to be, but just because we don't know, therefore intelligent design, I think is a bad argument. And so I'm just trying to just get my thoughts together on this. So I don't see why it has to be a who that created the universe rather than a what. And I'm happy with the universe that has come to be the way it is because of natural processes that we don't know. Yes, calling it creation does show Ray Comfort's considerable bias. Okay, and look, he's allowed to show that. That's fine, as long as you pick up on that. And look, Ray Comfort is allowed to make assertions, and he can show his bias, and we're free to call it out and disagree. I think just where it gets, the problem I have is where it becomes a moral judgment thing, where you look down upon those who don't believe the same way as you, because they don't believe the same way as you, and it becomes you put people in a box because they and you're very prejudiced against them. And I try not to be that way. I try to let people, when I get into debates, I will, I am tough but fair, and I will let people make their arguments and not try, and look, I accept correction. When a good point is there to be made, I'll accept that good point. Where it says, where the question says, there are far better theories out there than God did it that are actually consistent with how the universe is. I would agree. Yes, there are. Sean Carroll and Lawrence Krauss. Basically, the people who actually study who've spent their careers actually studying, the very complicated and very weird laws of nature, quantum physics and quantum mechanics, actually have an understanding of how it works. They didn't go, "Oh, God did it. Oh, yes." And look, and even the whole idea of order in the universe. Oh, the universe is ordered. The universe works. I don't know if it's ordered, because you then have to have, in what way is it ordered? There are big things and small things. Well, okay, yes, there are big things and small things. That doesn't mean order. And I've never really accepted the argument from order as a reason to believe in God, because I tend to see the consistency of nature as an inherent property of the material world, rather than as we're in a computer simulation and it's only God that's keeping the simulation together, kind of thing, or it's the code behind the simulation that's keeping things together. I don't agree with that. So I agree. there are far better theories out there. And I suppose the other thing is that God did it doesn't actually explain anything. It doesn't say how he did it. It doesn't say what materials he used. It doesn't. Intelligent design is not a testable hypothesis. That's something that intelligent design proponents need to get their head around. Is that you don't actually have a hypothesis. You just have a philosophical overlay that you're trying to shoehorn God into. But yeah, I don't know. And this last sentence in the question, this does not mean that God does not exist, but it far from means that God must exist. That I entirely agree with. And the thing I would put to anyone who disagrees with me is, what is a deity? How do you know a deity is capable of doing the things that you credit it with? How do you differentiate between a deity doing something in nature as opposed to It's my friend Jax. Distracting Jax with your weird sense of humour. Yes. So, how do you differentiate between a deity having done something and just things happening in nature for natural reasons, for things we may not fully comprehend? Yeah, that's where I would ask the hard question. And the other question I've asked is, how do you differentiate between divine inaction and something happening? How do you differentiate between God not existing and divine inaction? Is the question I ask as well, to try elicit a response. Now, Ray Comfort replies with, "It's not easy to be an atheist. He has to deny both common reason and logic." Ray, it's actually quite easy to be an atheist. You say God exists, and I say I don't believe you. That's all there is to it. If you said, if Ray Comfort came to me and said, a pink fairy exists, I go, well, show me a pink fairy. What does a pink fairy do? Show me a photo of a pink fairy. How are you determining that the pink fairy exists? you got to give me something more than the universe exists, therefore God. Actually, something more than the universe exists, therefore Jesus is the son of a specific God. I think apologists need to do better in that aspect. But no, Ray is incredibly condescending. It's just a shame that, Ray does have that goofy charm to him, but I also can't help but think that if he were ever Prime Minister or President, that he would want atheists executed. I just get that feeling that he says he loves us. Sure, I get told by my Christian friends, "Hey, love you, bro," but some of the things they've said to me are very condescending as well, and it's like, okay, do you really love me? You're not, when you don't listen to my argument as I'm trying to present it to you, and you try to insert your own argument over what I said, and you accuse me of saying things I didn't say. Do you really love me? As if there's a couple of people I'm pointing the finger at right now as I say that. And no, so where it says deny common reason and logic, well, the thing is, though, science doesn't care about our common sense. This is the thing, and especially when you get to quantum physics. Like, for example, let's go back to bacteria. Back in the 1850s. When John Snow, who founded the science of epidemiology, if I was in the 1840s and I said, hey, people are getting cholera because of a contaminated water supply. Rubbish! That's, it's because, people aren't praying enough, or because, God is striking them down with diseases or stuff like that. And then Jon Snow comes along in the 1850s and go, look, hey, people are getting cholera from this one tap, one public tap. Guys, can we, block that off and let's just see what happens? See, what is common sense now is, was last century's controversial statement. Or probably the most pressing example of common sense is the Austrian doctor Ignaz Semmelweis, who came up with who noticed that there was a very high infant mortality rate in his hospital because doctors and student docters were performing autopsies and then going to deliver babies without washing their hands. And so Dr. Semmelweis had the great idea to get the doctors to wash their hands and their instruments after autopsies and before delivering babies to reduce the infant mortality rate. And the medical establishment and society actually came down very hard on Dr. Semmelweis to the point that he was driven out of his profession and institutionalized. But hey, guess what? It turns out he was right. So I would say to Ray Comfort, don't rely on common sense as an arbiter of truth. Yeah, and not there. But it seems worth it to some because they think you then become a moral free agent. Yes, well, I would argue that you are a moral free agent. Now, it's hard to say because I don't know if my PDF copy of the book is missing a hyphen there. Were they saying moral free agent or moral free agent? Yeah, it's just a little bit hard to work out what it's saying there, but yeah, but technically everyone is a moral free agent because actually, okay, I'll read it the second way first. So, moral free agent. Everyone is a moral free agent. Everyone has the right to determine the morality that they live life by. However, they're not free to choose the consequences. The best that you can do is live in a way that minimizes adverse consequences and maximizes positive consequences. I think it was Robert G. Ingersoll who said, there is no good and bad in nature, just consequences. And to a point, I agree. That's actually we're pulling into Riverstone train station. How long have I been doing this for? Geez, 22 minutes and just getting warmed up. Yeah, now let's read it the other way and go, you become a moral free agent. No, that's not the case with atheism. Atheism is simply the lack of acceptance of the claims of the existence of deities. It's not a moral system. It's not a it doesn't say good or bad. All atheism is, well, this is my particular point on it, and I'll call it minimal atheism, is that all atheism is when you say God exists, we say we don't believe you, please prove it to us. That's all it. Atheism does not say anything about morals. And this is a point I make in my book, The Best Religion for the Task at Hand. Get it on Google Play and Apple Books. It might be discounted. Probably is. It hasn't sold very well. That's me. So anyway, so Ray Comfort then goes on, however, you can look at the miracle of creation and deny the genius of the creator, but he still exists. Well, this is the thing. I don't accept that this is creation, a creation by an intelligent agent. There are plenty of... It's not just so much that things go wrong, it's just that there is so much randomness, and there's so much... there is so much, I wouldn't say complexity, but there's more than what we understand. So if this were... And also that things seem to happen by themselves without a necessary rhyme or reason. And what I mean by that is, like, if hail falls from the sky and hits someone on the head, or if a rock falls down a cliff and crashes and smashes a car, we know that's a natural process that has happened in the natural world because of natural forces. There could have been an earthquake, there could have been a landslide, there could have been just a rock that's cracked off. There could be any reason why rocks fall down cliffs. And it just so happens that, your car was in the way of the rock as it fell down. Things happen for random reasons in this natural world. It's not like we're in a simulation that yeah, it's not like we're in a simulation that, where God is coding everything and things are coded and all that kind of stuff. It's just, there's lots of things, or like cancer, for example. People get cancer because of natural processes in their body. And, it's... or things like that, or people have disfigurements, or some people are naturally born really beautiful, or, stuff like that. It's just to say that you are moral free and we're in a creation and you must worship the genius of the creator. You'd have to explain, and I don't accept the fine tuning argument as well, because you haven't there's no real demonstration of how you came to those figures, and two, whether life would be any different. Stuff like that. And then Ray's next sentence is, you can call him an imaginary friend, but he still exists and sees everything you do and even what you think. Now, this is where it gets worrying. This is where Christianity starts to become a North Korea of sorts. In that, now, the first part of the sentence, you can call him an imaginary friend. One of the reasons I stopped believing in God was because I couldn't prove God exists outside of belief in him. And I found that every argument for God relies on the assumption and the presumption that God exists. So let me just that. So every argument for God presumes the existence of God. There is no I've not come across a proof of God where it assumes God does not exist and then positively proves God exists. Every argument for God assumes God exists and then, hey, this is why God exists. Well, no, hold on, you haven't. That there, and then this next part of the sentence, but he still exists. But you then have to prove that God exists. Because what could actually happen is that God created everything, but then he's died. He's gone away. He's left us alone, which is more the deistic position. And I have to give props to my friend on Twitter, Dales Bryant, who's actually this really chill guy who presents God in a very chill way. Doesn't make it a judgment or a moral contest. It's just, hey, this is his reasons. He's still a pretty chill guy. And sees everything you do and even what you think. Now, this is where it becomes, like a police state. And with the scary possibility of being convicted for thought crimes. Because in North Korea, you're only judged by your actions. Whereas in Christianity, it's like you're judged by what you do as well. If you even have thoughts, you are meant to, push those thoughts out. In some interpretations of Christianity, you are meant to mutilate yourself in response to those thoughts, which is actually really scary. But luckily, no one takes it seriously. And but it then highlights the hypocrisy of Christianity in that, well, Jesus said to mutilate yourself if you have lustful thoughts with a woman. Matthew 5:27-30 is the verse I'm referring to. And it's interesting how Matthew 5:27 and 28 is always literal, but then like 29-30 is always figurative. It's like, guys, where's the It's just the context. Okay, that's yeah. Oh boy. And then he goes, you can call any reference to the Bible circular reasoning. And in some ways I do, yes. But that word will judge you on Judgment Day whether you believe it or not. Now Ray is starting to sound like a hate preacher, because he is now making assertions, and he's not actually trying to prove his case. He's just basically going, look at creation. You can deny him or not, but you're going to be judged. Is essentially, which is like a very bad argument, a very horrible way of, And this little aside that he's put in there called the Asunist headquarters. A group known as Atheists has produced a manifesto explaining why they believe the sun doesn't exist. Now, point 1. An entire desert tribe of men, women and children was once killed by the sun, therefore the sun doesn't exist. I know what he's trying to get at, in that a lot of atheists don't believe in God because they see the genocides in the Bible and, say that. However, I don't know of anyone who argues that because of the genocides in the Bible, therefore God doesn't exist. Why we bring up the genocides of the Bible is to say that God isn't good. And I think there's a very clear case to be made. And I'm actually arguing on Twitter now about that, and I'm referencing the shootings in Uvalde, Texas, where I believe God is capable and foreknew what happened, yet he remained passive while it all happened. And so people are trying to say God is good, but then how can you call God good when God knew that children would have to smear their friends' blood on them to make it look like they were dead to avoid being shot themselves? And yeah, it's just so unless you're comfortable with kids being shot, then you can't. You don't have any right to say God is good. 2. Intelligent scientists have searched the night sky for the sun and found no evidence for its existence. Well, on that point, I would say, you firstly define the sun, define what you're looking for. It's because we can actually prove these intelligent scientists wrong, like without any moral judgment, without any personal judgment, without any snide remarks. We can prove the sun exists. They also, number 3, they also entered a pitch black room and studied a book about the sun. Again, they found no empirical evidence. Well, this is just Ray Comfort being a dick. 4, beliefs were confirmed by interviewing members of the Braille Institute. Ray Comfort's being a dick. And 5, the millions who testified that they've seen a brilliant ball of fire in the sky are unscientific, dim-witted liars. The Atheists continue to hold their meetings in a dark room and tell each other that it is intelligent to believe that the sun doesn't exist. Well, this is the thing, in that I suppose it's a dig on the play that, look, millions of people believe in Jesus, and Jesus has brought hope to their life. Therefore, and I don't accept that Jesus has brought hope to people's lives, because I don't think that Jesus is the Son of God. Man, I'm getting hungry. Yeah, it's about 12:30 in here. I haven't had my. I had a breakfast, but didn't really have a big breakfast, and I'm getting a bit hungry, a bit peckish, and a bit feeling some fish and chips. That might be a good way to go. But yeah, anyway, because you can say that Jesus brought hope to your life, but proving it. Because otherwise you'll fall victim to the fallacy of what's it called? What's it called? Post hoc ergo propter hoc, which is after this, therefore because of this. So yeah, so I'm trying to think of the name of the fallacy, and that's what it was. But anyway, so I'm going to stop the reading there. I'm going to let me just put a bookmark in that. Where Ray Comfort begins the next sentence: staunch evolutionists believe the theory as though their life depended on it. And yeah, that's anyone who starts off an argument with that sentence has not honestly evaluated the evidence, or has actually even listened to what the evidence actually is. So yeah, and so this is why I'm only on part 7, and because I'm on part 7, but I'm only like a handful of pages into the book, because Ray Comfort gets so many things wrong, and he's really condescending. Now, if I met Ray Comfort, I would give him respect, but I also think that, like, as much respect as he may show me personally, I still think that, he is a condescending anti-atheist. But look, I would give him the chance to otherwise prove wrong, and to ask him to maybe clarify his position on some things. But yeah, I just hope that Ray Comfort, if I said, hey Ray, I've read your books and I think you're a condescending anti-atheist, I hope he wouldn't reply with, well, I'm just doing to you what you guys do to me. That doesn't really get anywhere. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to end it here. My name is Damien, the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad, host of the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad podcast. Check out the podcast, anchor.fm/TFA Dad. Check out the website, www.tallfriendlyatheistdad.com. Hit me up on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/TFADpod and twitter.com/TFADpod. Otherwise, look after yourselves, stay safe, stay rational, be kind to one another, and give your loved ones plenty of hugs. Bye.
I am sure of